Vavande Vyasarupino Shri Guru Gaur Gandharva Govindascha Ganaisaha Jayanti Patakaschacha Sarvesham Gurunartino. So we are continuing with Sri Chaitanya-charitamrita. We are at chapter 1 of the Madhya-lila, and Mahaprabhu has been on his way to Vrindavan, coming via Bengal from Puri, and along the way he stops in Ramkelli, which I believe is on the border. I believe on the edge of in Bengal, like on the border, and then here he meets with Rupa and Sanatan. They have this very ecstatic meeting. So many beautiful heart expressions are exchanged, and now Mahaprabhu is continuing on his way. But just before he left, Sanatan gave this advice: "Oh, you should not go to Vrindavan with this big crowd of people." And he was largely concerned about the Muslim governor, becoming a problem, making trouble for Mahaprabhu. So let's continue. Ittabali charan vandi gela nui jan Prabhur se gram hoite cholite hoi loman. Having spoken thus, the two brothers offered prayers to the lotus feet of the Lord and returned to their homes. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then desired to leave that village. Prate choli aila Prabhu kainar natashala dekilo sakal taha Chaitanya-charitamrita. In the morning the Lord left and went to a place known as Kanai Natashala. While there he saw many pastimes of Lord Krishna. Se rache Prabhu taha chinte mone man sange sangata balona he koilo sanatan. That night the Lord considered Sanatana Goswami's proposal that he should not go to Vrindavan followed by so many people. Mathura jaibami etalok sange kichu sukh na paibo hobe rasa bange. The Lord thought, if I go to Mathura with such crowds behind me, it would not be a very happy situation, for the atmosphere would be disturbed. Ekaki jaibo kimva sange ka jan tobe se shoboye Vrindavanere gaman. The Lord concluded that he would go alone to Vrindavan, or at most would take only one person as his companion. In that way, going to Vrindavan would be very pleasant. Etta chinti pratakale ganga snan kori ila chole jabo boli cholile go nahani. Thinking like this, the Lord took his morning bath in the Ganges and started for Nilachal, saying, I shall go there. E matta choli choli aila shanti pore din pancha satara hila charjer gore. Walking and walking, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at Shantipur and remained at the house of Advaita-charya for 5 to 7 days. So he's thinking to go back to Puri before... So he's thinking to go back to Puri and then go to Vrindavan from there, it seems. So he reaches the home of Advaita-charya, is going back. And so Shantipur is Bengal. It's not far from Navadvip. So he's going back the way he came. Shachi Devi Anitare Koilo Namaskar Satadin Tardai Vikavyavahar. Taking this opportunity, Sri Advaita-charya Prabhu sent for Mother Shachi Devi, and she remained at his house for 7 days to prepare the meals for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Taragyaloya puna korila gamane vinoy koriya vinay dilo bhaktagane. Taking permission from his mother, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then started for Jagannath Puri. When the devotees followed him, he humbly begged them to remain and bade them all farewell. Janadui sange ami jabonila chole, amare mili bahasi rataya kale. Mahaprabhu, all of requesting all the devotees to go back, allowed 2 people to follow him. He requested all the devotees to come to Jagannath Puri and meet him during the chariot festival, Ratayatra. Balabhadra Bhattacharya ar Pandit Damodar, Dui Jan Sange Prabhu Aila Nilachal. The 2 persons who accompanied Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Jagannath Puri were Balabhadra Bhattacharya and Damodar Pandit. Din goto taharohi cholila Vrindavan, Lukaya cholila rache na jane ko anjan. After remaining at Jagannath Puri for a few days, the Lord secretly started for Vrindavan at night. He did this without anyone's knowledge. Balabhadra Bhattacharya rohe macha sange, Jadikanda Bhatte Kashi Aila Maharange. When Mahaprabhu left Puri for Vrindavan, only Balabhadra Bhattacharya was with him. Thus he traveled on the path through Jharikanda and arrived in Benares, Varanasi, with great delight. Okay, for a moment I forgot we're going through this summary, because I was like, what, hang on, there were lots of other things that happened too. That's why it's like jumping, right? It's a synopsis. I forgot. Like, hang on, that took a lot longer. After remaining at Jagannath Puri for a few days, the Lord secretly started for Vrindavan at night. He did this without anyone's knowledge. Balabhadra Bhattacharya rohe macha sange, Jadikanda patte kashi aila maharange. When Mahaprabhu left Jagannath Puri for Vrindavan, I read this already. I'm really out of it this morning. Only Balabhadra was with him. Thus he traveled on the path through Jharikanda and arrived in Benares, Varanasi, with great delight. Mahaprabhu stayed at Benares only 4 days and then left for Vrindavan. After seeing the town of Mathura, he visited the 12 forests. Lilastal deki preme, oila astir, Balabhadra koilo tare, Mathurar bahir. When Mahaprabhu visited all 12 places of Krishna's pastimes, he became very much agitated because of ecstasy. Balabhadra Bhattacharya somehow or other got him out of Mathura. Ganga Tirapate Loya, Prayage Haila, Shirupasi Prabhuke Tatai Milila. After leaving Mathura, the Lord began to walk along the path on the bank of the Ganges, and finally he reached the holy place named Prayag, Allahabad, which is now they changed the name back to Prayag again. It was there that Srila Rupa Goswami came and met the Lord. Dandavat kori rupa bhumite porila, Paramayananda Prabhu alinga andila. At Prayag, Rupa Goswami fell down on the ground to offer obeisances to the Lord, and the Lord embraced him with great delight. Shirupe shikka korai pataila Vrindavan, apane korila Varanasi agaman. After instructing Rupa Goswami that the Dashashvamedha Ghat in Prayag, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered him to go to Vrindavan. The Lord then returns to Varanasi. Kashite, so this was 10 days, right? This is very pivotal. Rupa Shiksha is described by our gurus, Mahaprabhu's instructions to Sanatana Goswami. There's a chapter 1 or 2, maybe just 1 chapter. And then after that, so 10 days of instruction to Rupa first in the Prayag area, and then after that 2 months of instruction to Sanatan in Varanasi. Kashite Prabhuke, and that's several chapters, that's a chunk. And these are very significant chapters in Chaitanya-charitamrita. When when our Gurudev Srila Govinda Maharaj joined the Math, then Srila Sridhar Maharaj gave him personal instruction on the key chapters of Chaitanya-charitamrita. And so that included this section. So Madhya-lila chapter 2, which is the next chapter we're coming to. Madhya-lila chapter 6, which is Mahaprabhu's upgrade of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And then the Rup and Sanatan Shiksha. Oh, and of course also Ramananda Samvad, Madhya-lila chapter 8. Those are the chapters Srila Sridhar Maharaj personally instructed him in, the key sections of Chaitanya-charitamrita. So then when Mahaprabhu arrived at Varanasi, Sanatan Goswami met him there. The Lord remained there for 2 months and instructed Sanatan perfectly. Matara pataila tare diya bhakta bol, sanyasire kripa kori gela nilachal. After fully instructing Sanatan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent him to Mathura with empowered devotional service. In Benares, he also bestowed his mercy upon the Mayavadi sannyasis. He then returned to Nilachal, Jagannath Puri. Joy Vatsai Che Prabhu Kodila Vilas, Kabu Iti Uti Kabu Kshetravas. The Lord traveled all over India for 6 years. He was sometimes here and sometimes there, performing his transcendental pastimes, and sometimes he remained at Jagannath Puri. Anande Bhakta Sange Sada Kirtan Vilas, Jagannath Darashan Preme Vilas. While at Jagannath Puri, the Lord passed his time in great joy by performing Sankirtan and visiting the temple of Jagannath in great ecstasy. Madhya-lila Koiloe Sutra Vivaran, Anjalila Sutra Ebe Shuno Bhaktagan. When you hear this word shuno, shuno means to hear. And in English, at least in modern English, we don't really have, English is, modern English is a kind of, well, I like to say sometimes, it's a barbaric language, right? It's very basic and not consistent. But like if you look at more sophisticated languages, like it's much more, there's so much more specificity, right? So there are many more cases, grammatical cases, and so like this shuno is like in the imperative, like an instruction, like here. There's another one which means like, may it be so. There's a case just for that, like, let it be so. Like, may everyone be blessed, like just with one word, very concise, like that. Very cool language. There's also a case for the vocative, like couched in the sense of calling someone, right? We hear that explanation about the Maha Mantra, right? That this Hare, and I spent a little time last year studying some Sanskrit, but no time to go further. But it was nice to get some better idea. But I saw many examples of that, and how if you're calling a person, especially, then you use the same, like it's not just saying their name, you just change the ending a little bit, and it means you're calling them, right? So like in the Maha Mantra, Hare is the vocative of Hara, right? So the grammatical, and Krishna, Krishna is actually the same. It's the ending doesn't change, but it's actually in the vocative case. So like grammatically, it's couched in this sense of calling out to Radha Krishna, right? It's such a brilliant language. So when you hear this word shuno, Kaviraj Goswami, like, pay attention, listen up. But more politely, please listen, more like that. But then bhaktagan, right? They don't really have like plural the way that we do. Like we put the S on, but they'll put on something like this gan. Gan means like people. So bhaktagan means devotees in the plural, like devotee people would be how we literally translate it, but it means like devotee in the plural sense. So bhaktagan, shuno bhaktagan, he's saying, oh, please listen, the devotees. You hear it repeatedly through Chaitanya-charitamrita. It's very personal, Kaviraj Goswami speaking to his audience, and like he has something in his heart he wants to give to people, and there's a lot of earnestness there. And it's not like he has his ego, like, listen to me. No, it's not like that, but like there's something wonderful coming through me. This is so exciting. Like you can think of like a scientist who's discovered some new thing, right, in their lab. They want to run out and tell everyone, so it's like that. And there's like one place, perhaps more than one, where he's like glorifying, more than one place where he's glorifying his own book. Or in one place he's glorifying the listeners, like whoever's all glorious to whoever's listening. Like, this book is so wonderful, I'm worshiping anyone who's listening to it. Now, O devotees, kindly hear the synopsis of the final pastimes of the Lord, known as the Madhya-lila. So far I've given you a synopsis of the middle pastimes. Now I'm giving a synopsis of the final pastimes. Vrindavan hoite jari nila chole haila, attarvai shatavas kahana hi gela. When the Lord returned to Jagannath Puri from Vrindavan, he remained there and did not go anywhere else for 18 years. Prativaishai santaha gore bhaktagan, charimas rahe prabhu sange samilan. During those 18 years, all the devotees of Bengal used to visit him at Jagannath Puri every year. They would remain there for 4 continuous months and enjoy the company of the Lord. Nirantar nitya gita kirtan vilas, achandale prema bhakti korila prakash. At Jagannath Puri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed chanting and dancing unceasingly. Thus he enjoyed the pastime of Sankirtan. He manifested his causeless mercy, pure love of God, to everyone, including the lowest man. Pandit Gosai Koilo, Nila Chole Vas, Vakreshwar Damodar, Shankar Haridas. Residing with the Lord at Jagannath Puri, where Pandit Gosai and other devotees such as Vakreshwar, Damodar, Shankar, and Haridas Thakur. Jagadananda Bhagavan, Govinda Kashishwar, Paramananda Podiyar, Sarup Damodar. These are lists of names. Jagadananda, Bhagavan, Govinda, Kashishwar, Paramananda Puri, Sarup Damodar. They're all staying with the Lord in Puri. Kshetravasi, Ramananda Rai Prabriti, Prabhu Sangaye Sab Koilo Nityastiti. Srila Ramananda Rai and other devotees who were residents of Jagannath Puri also remained permanently with the Lord. Advaita Nityananda Mukunda Shivas, Nityanidhi Vasudev Murari Jatanas, Prativarsha Aise Sangye Rohe Charimas, Tas Savaloya Prabhu Vivida Vilas. Other devotees of the Lord, headed by Shri Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu, Mukunda, Shivas, Vidyanidhi, Vasudeva, Murari, used to visit Jagannath Puri and remain with the Lord for 4 continuous months. The Lord enjoyed various pastimes in their company. Haridase Siddhi Prapti, Adbhut Se Sab, Apani Mahaprabhu Jar, Koilo Mahotsav. At Jagannath Puri, Haridas Thakur passed away. The incident was very wonderful because the Lord himself performed the festival of Thakur Haridas's departure. Tabe Rupa Gosayer Punaragaman, Tahar Hidoye Koilo Prabhu Shakti Sancharan. At Jagannath Puri, Srila Rupa Goswami met the Lord again, and the Lord invested his heart with all transcendental power. Tobe Choto Haridase Prabhu Koilo Danda, Damodar Pandit Koilo Prabhu ke Vakya Nanda. After this, the Lord punished Choto Haridas, and Damodar Pandit gave some warning to the Lord. Tobe Sanatan Gosayir Punaragaman Jaishtamashe Prabhu Tare Koilo Padikan. Thereafter, Sanatan Goswami met the Lord again, and the Lord tested him in scorching heat during the month of Jaishta, which is May, June, the hottest time of year. So these are all, there are so many pastimes within this. So here Mahaprabhu tested him. And you'll hear the full story later. Let me see. That's one of the sweetest pastimes, actually. Sweet is maybe the wrong word. We need to expand our vocabulary. Touching, I will say. And, yeah. Touching, for me, touching, heart-touching pastimes. And Mahaprabhu goes on, when Sanatan goes on that occasion, he tries to commit suicide, actually. And Mahaprabhu stops him. Mahaprabhu tells him that you are my property. You don't have any right to destroy another person's property. It's very wonderful. Tushta hoya Prabhu tare pataila vrindavan advaitere haste Prabhu adbhut bhojan. Being pleased, the Lord sent Sanatan Goswami back to Vrindavan. After that, he was fed wonderfully by the hands of Sri Advaita Acharya. Nityananda Sangye Jukti Koriyani Britte Tade Pataila Gore Prema Prachadite. After sending Sanatan Goswami back to Vrindavan, the Lord privately consulted with Nityananda Prabhu. He then sent him to Bengal to preach love of Godhead. So this is marking a shift in the Leela, when Mahaprabhu sends Nityananda back. And this is indicating Mahaprabhu's ready. He's about to begin entering into this more internal state. And Nityananda's presence is not so compatible with that, and entering this deep mood of Madhura Ras. So he sends Mahaprabhu, Nityananda, to Bengal. Tobeto Vallabha Bhatta Prabhu Re Milila Krishna Name Arta Prabhu Tare Kohila. Soon afterward, Vallabha Bhatta met the Lord at Jagannath Puri, and the Lord explained to him the import of the holy name of Krishna. Pradyumna Mishrere Prabhu Ramananda Stane Krishna Kata Shonaila Kohita Argune. After explaining the transcendental qualities of Ramananda Rai, the Lord sent Pradyumna Mishra to his residence, and Pradyumna Mishra learned Krishna Katha from him. Gopinath Patanayak Ramananda Brata Raja Manita Chila Prabhu Hoilo Utrata. After this, Mahaprabhu saved Gopinath Patanayak, the younger brother of Ramananda Rai, from being condemned to death by the king. Ramachandra Puri Boye Bika Gataila Vaishnava Duk Deki Adek Rakila. Ramachandra Puri criticized Mahaprabhu's eating. Therefore, the Lord reduced his eating to a minimum. However, when all the Vaishnavas became very sorry, the Lord increased his portion to half as much as usual. Brahmanda bitare hoy choda bhuvane vaise jatta jivagan. There are 14 planetary systems within the universe, and all living entities reside in those planetary systems. Manushya Veshtori Yachikera Chole Prabhu Darshan Gore Asini La Chole. Dressing like human beings on pilgrimage, they all used to come to Jagannath Puri to visit Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So all living, and it's interesting actually. It doesn't like normally we hear about the demigods coming right from the higher planets, but it's specifically saying here all 14. So that means from the lower planets too. That's the first time I noticed that. Because normally we hear about, like when Mahaprabhu was born, right? We hear it mentions like many demigods came secretly in disguise to be present at his birth, right? And we hear it in different places like that. But this is, I'm noticing here for the first time, it specifically says from the Choda Bhuvam, from the 14 planetary systems. So that means lower entities, they also came. Interesting. They're all coming to get some darshan. There's mercy for everyone. You know, one funny thing it mentions in the Govardhan-lila that you know, when Krishna takes on the form of Govardhan hill, and and everyone brings him so many offerings, right? They're making offerings to Govardhan hill, and Krishna takes on the form of Govardhan. He's eating those offerings, and he's not satisfied. He needs more and more and more, and people are coming from surrounding villages with more food, and there's a mention of how everyone made offerings, even the chandalas, means like the dog eaters, they made offerings. But Goswami Maharaj told that Jajavar Maharaj, right? Jajavar Maharaj, he was very beloved, perhaps the most beloved godbrother of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, I would say. No, he was around in the 80s, in the early 80s, and so some of the Westerners got to meet him. You know? But Goswami Maharaj said that he used to joke about that, like, it says even the dog eaters made offer. What did they offer? What did they offer? Was it there's a name for Kirish, there's a name for like sattvic prasadam. I'm trying to remember the name. I can't remember the name of it. Ratna knows. Ratnavali knows. But there's this funny thing you see at least you see it in Bengal. I don't know about other parts of India, but it just shows you how, like, you know, twisted things become. There's this thing of like sattvic meat, like without onions and garlic.
Oh, yeah.
Remember we talked? There's like a whole thing around, like they'll put it like in restaurants, like clean meat. Like this meat is made without onions or garlic. Like there's a special name for it. I can't remember. So funny, and you know, and then people can pretend, you know, they're like, you know, they're being sattvic. You know, oh, the meat I eat, the lamb that I eat doesn't have onions or garlic. But no, I expect those dog eaters, they offer some vegetarian preparation. It was Judge Verma's joke. Ekadin Shivasari Jata Bhakta Gan Mahaprabhu Gun Gan Gaya Goden Kirtan. One day, all the devotees headed by Srivas Thakur were chanting the transcendental qualities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shuni Bhakta Gane Kohe Sakroda Vachane Krishna Nam Gunachari Kikoro Kirtane. Not liking the chanting of his transcendental qualities, Mahaprabhu chastised them as if he were angry. What kind of chanting is this? He asked. Are you leaving aside the chanting of the holy name of the Lord? O natya karite hoilo sabakara man satancha hoya sabe nashabe bhuvan. Thus Mahaprabhu chastised all the devotees, telling them not to show impudence and spoil the entire world by becoming independent. I want to finish this chapter. It's not too much. We can finish the chapter. Dashtike koti koti loke no kale Jai Krishna Chaitanya bole kore kola hole. When Mahaprabhu was apparently in an angry mood and chastising his devotees, many thousands of people outside loudly cried in a tumultuous voice, "All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu!" Jai Jai Mahaprabhu Bhajendra Kumar Jagatarite Prabhu Tomar Avatar. All the people began to call very loudly, "All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the son of Maharaj Nanda. Now you have appeared in order to deliver the whole world." Bahudur hoite ainu, hoya baro harta, darashandiya Prabhu koroho kritarta. O Lord, we are very unhappy. We have come a long distance to see you. Please be merciful and show us your favor. Junya loke doina, javila hirdoe, bahire asidarashan diladoya moe. When the Lord heard the humble petition made by the people, his heart softened. Being very merciful, he immediately came out and gave audience to all of them. So Mahaprabhu, he was, kind of going back and forth, like in terms of admitting to his divinity, right? For the most part, he was hiding from that identity as the Lord and posturing as a devotee of Krishna. And, he would show anger, and he's in that mood, It's not just a posture. He's in that mood. But sometimes then he would like kind of reveal, yes, this is who I am. Bahu tuli, raising his arms. Bole Prabhu, bolo Hari Hari, utilo Shri Hari Dwani, chaturdik bori. Raising his arms, the Lord asked everyone to chant loudly the vibration of the holy name of Lord Hari. What a scene! What a scene! Mahaprabhu is surrounded by these hundreds of people, thousands of people, koti, thousands of people. Mahaprabhu is there raising his arm, asking them all to chant the holy name of Hari. There immediately arose a great stir, and the vibration of Hari filled all directions. Prabhu deki premelok anandita man, Prabhu ke Ishwar bole koroye stavan. Seeing the Lord, everyone became joyful out of love. Everyone accepted the Lord as the Supreme, and thus they offered their prayers. Tavashuni Prabhu ke kohen Srinivas, gore gupta hao kene bahire prakash. While the people were offering their prayers unto the Lord, Srivas Thakur sarcastically said to the Lord, "At home you wanted to be covered. Why have you exposed yourself outside?" So before he was being all coy, no, why are you saying my name? Now all of a sudden he's shifted, in front of everyone. Now Srivas is teasing him or something. Srivas Thakur continued, "Who has taught these people? What are they saying? Now you can cover their mouths with your own hand." Because Mahaprabhu was stopping the others. Sometimes he would do that. He'd just cover their mouths. If the few times you see in Chaitanya-charitamrita, when someone's glorifying Mahaprabhu as like the Lord, and he'll cover their mouth. No, say no more. Soye jaiche udai kodi, johelu kaite, bujite na pari doiche domar charite. It is as if the sun, after rising, wanted to hide itself. We cannot understand such characteristics in your behavior. Prabhu Kohen Srinivas Chadavidambana Sabemeli Kodomor Kotek Lanchana. Loud. The Lord replied, "My dear Srinivas, please stop joking. You have all combined together to humiliate me in this way." Etabole loke kori shubha drishti dan. Shubha drishti. Drishti is referring to his glance, right? It's the same root as darshan. This drishti, like to see. So shubha means auspicious, goodness. So shubha drishti is auspicious glance upon the people. Dan, giving. Abhyantare gele loke poina hoy lokam. Thus speaking, the Lord entered his room after glancing auspiciously upon the people out of charity. Oh, so here the word dan is referring to like charity, I guess, or generous mood. I don't know. In this way, the desires of the people were completely fulfilled. Raghunath Das Nityananda Pashe Gela Chiradadi Mahotsav Tahai Korila. You hear this idea in different places of like the Lord giving his merciful glance, you know, like also in that, what is that line of Nityananda Prabhu? Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koromode. I have to like sing it. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koromode. Toma Vina Ke Doyalu Jagatama Jade Patita Bhavana Hetu Tavaya Vatana Mosa Mopatita Prabhu Napai Meyana Aha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Kripa Bolokana Kono Ami Bono Duki. This is also Kripa Avalokana. This is also referring to merciful, Kripa, merciful glance. Please give your merciful glance. This idea is mentioned in different places. Just the glance of the Lord, the glance of the Vaishnavas is auspicious. It's the blessing. So Shubha Drishti. Blessingful glance, merciful glance of the Lord upon the. We are praying for that. Please bestow your merciful glance. Just look in my direction. Just that. Just that will be enough. Raghunath Das Nityananda Pashe Gela Chiradari Mahotsav Thai Korila. At this time, Raghunath Das approached Nityananda Prabhu and according to his order, prepared a feast and distributed prasadam composed of chipped rice and curd. Taragya loya gela prabhur charane prabhu tare samarpila swarupe dastane. Later, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami left home and took shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri. At that time, the Lord received him and placed him under the care of Srup Damodar for spiritual enlightenment. Brahmananda Bharatir Guchailo Charmambar E Madhya-lila Koilo Joy Vatsar. Later, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stopped Brahmananda Bharati's habit of wearing deer skin. The Lord thus enjoyed his pastimes continuously for 6 years, experiencing varieties of transcendental bliss. Ito kohilo Madhya-lila sutragan Sheshtadashvatsader Shuno vivadan Shuno. Again, see it. I have thus given a synopsis of the Madhya-lila. Now please hear the pastimes the Lord performed during the last 12 years. You just see how much earnestness he has. Like, please, are you listening? Please listen. Don't want to lose my audience. Please, you have to listen to this. It's so wonderful. You'll be so blessed by hearing this. I have thus given a synopsis of the Madhya-lila. Now please hear the pastimes the Lord performed during the last 12 years. So now this is the next chapter, which is highly anticipated chapter, Madhya-lila chapter 2, which is perhaps our Gurudev's most favorite chapter. And here, very ecstatic description of Mahaprabhu's mood of divine madness during the last 12 years in this world. Shri Rupa Raghunath Bhade Jaras Chaitanya-charitamrita Kohe Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I Krishna Das. Narrate Shri Chaitanya-charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Haribol. Jai Shri Gurudev. Jai Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya-charitamrita ki Jai.